Never say enough, Will. Never enough.
That's been recorded, by the way. So
I know. Okay, over to you guys.
Just I'm sharing my screen.
Yep, we can see that.
Okay. Actually, it means nobody has raised the concerns. We have raised the concerns like just we need a little bit overview of the limb claim processing and what is the actual standards we are going to be follow in the limb claims. And these are the queries raised by the Will on yesterday. And this suggests me to give overview on these topics.
Great, thank you.
Okay.
yeah,
And just I'm proceeding to the next slide. Just have
sorry,
a yeah.
Can you hear me? Sorry, I just want just quick. So I think they're pretty good starting place. I just want to make sure, Rani in particular, are you comfortable with that as an agenda? Is there anything else you just wanted to just talk around now or ask any questions on before we start?
I haven't had the chance to read all that. Sorry. Sorry, key differences between EDI.
And the reason I'm asking is, I guess the principle of this really is just let's use this time in the most valuable way. I want to make sure, Guru, that you're not going through stuff that's not needed. So
no,
Rani,
that's from my perspective, it's great.
Perfect. Cool. Okay.
Especially the variation stuff and differences. Yeah, sure. Yeah, it's great.
Okay.
Cheers, Guru.
Actually, the EDFACT standard is a reputed format in the internationally. The EDFACT standard was introduced by the United Nations in the 1980s to transmit the messages in the controlled manner within the trading community with specific principles and security. Okay, the EDFACT standard definition is like electronic data interchange, administration, commerce, and transport. Actually, is the one of the version of the EDA. In the globally, we will call it as EDI, electronic data interchange. Within that electronic data interchange, there is various flavors like ANSI X12, EDFACT, Rosetta Net, Swift. There is a various kinds of data standards based on the EDA. Usually the European countries, all the European organizations will follow the EDFACT standards. Okay, in the 1987.
Sorry, can I interject or you want to wait until the end? I'm sorry about that. Can I ask question or at the end?
Yes.
So when you say, sorry for not being familiar with it, but when you say it's a standard, it's like the XML standard, I guess, right?
It is
the
not
internal
XML.
use.
It is not a XML standard. It's given some other notations. And the next slide, I will explain about that thing also. Just I'm giving some history of the EDFACT and EDA. And what is the history and why we have adapted means within the London market. I'm just giving the overview before going to the detailed description. So
no, I understand the difference.
Yes.
I understand that it's not an XML format. I'm just asking about the principle of a standard. It means that the usage of the standard is different for the is like your invention or your initiative of how you're going to use it for the limclam. Would that be a correct statement?
Yeah, definitely. Means that is another scope. Even the later stages in the next slides, I will show you that notations and everything.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay. Just I'm giving the brief overview of the what is the history of the EDA. Means why you had adopted in the 1987. The London market, Lloyd's instance market, all the groups like Liba, all are discussed and adopted these EDA message standards. Okay, and we formed the EDFACT standard Specifically for the insurance sector of the London, we will call it as eliminate ED fact. Okay. Usually the basic principles of the claim you're all are aware means a claim will initiate by the broker prepares the claim to present the underwriter. Underwriter evaluate the claim and give the agreement. Means initially all the things will go on the paperwork. Okay, to eliminate this paperwork and to exchange the documents and the information through electronically. Okay, DXC is adopted EDI communication between the trading partners and then parties. Okay. Here it is a basic structure means a flow of the how the broker will submits the claim and how the carrier will give a response like that. Usually for all the bureaus, we are having to create the claim or to amend the claim to or to claim to give an initial advice and settlement. We are having the message typed like limp claim. Okay, whenever the limp claim is submitted by the broker, okay, that receives the DXE. And when the DXE systems will have the entry of the claim information, which is coming from the link claim, okay, the carrier will have the separate screens to give an objection or exceptions. Okay, and the carrier will, whenever the carrier will query or means that he authorized the object. Okay, that information will go in the like for the Lloyd's we are having the CLM LLV and for the ILE we are having the CLM ILV and we for the LIRMA we are having the CLM LRB. It will be sent in the multiple days in a day, like for 5 times in a day. So the specific 5 times means like 8 o'clock, 11 o'clock, between the 2 to 3 and the evening one, and then after in the overnight they will send one information where you can give the underwriter responses and latest status of the thing. Claim details will send in the overnight. Okay, equivalent messages will goes to the syndicate also. Means what is the latest information of the claims today we have settled? What is the latest information on the claim which are queried? That will be goes to the carrier systems with the CLM ILC and CLM LRC messages. Okay. Okay, ED fact messages contain the structure and rules as per the ED standard to construct and transmit the messages. And it will have already I have told it will have the all the specific rules and segment definitions, structures about how to construct the messages. That is all defined in the LIMCLIM spec circulated to the entire market. Whosoever want to build the claim messages through EDFACT format, they can obtain the information in the specs delivered to the market. Like if you see in the Velonetic website, you can find all the standard EDS specs. If you mean search in the Google simply, EDFACT London Insurance. Okay, it will give a lots of London in the assets, Lloyd's of London assets also. And moreover, in the Velonetic websites also, we can give find out all the specifications. When you simply search in the Google, apart from that, in the Velonetic website, they are maintaining all the standard specs and which is related to the market. Okay, I'm considering one of the message spec which is in the Velonetic website. Okay, I have opened the CLM ILB. Okay. In the CLM spec, which is available in the Velonetic website, it will have all the information how the message can be created. If you see here, means here you can find the what is the message design standards and how the separators is getting useful and how the IE registration is happening and that within the DXE and what is the sequence of transaction means every definitions what are the means if you like to check it out the means how the separators will be get used that will be in the spec. I will show you here means here it is. I will share one more example side. Okay, here it is. We are using the plus sign to separate the elements. Okay, in the ENB, the first one is the syntax ID. Oh, it will give the more information. Let's go with the CSD segment. In the CSD segment, we will have the claim header details. Okay, first we have the UMR, UCR, and UMR. And how the UCR and UMR will be get differentiated by the plus sign. Okay, it will separate the element between two data elements. It was shown that here. Okay, if there is, for example, if there's there is a three data elements. Okay, in the three data elements, second elements is missing means it will put the empty. Okay, if the last element is missing, it's will not put the plus sign then after. Okay, in the similar way, there will be the sub element separators also, which you call within the one data element, there will be the multiple data elements in between. For example, I will show you something AMT. Okay. Okay, if you see in the you are speaking about the CSD segment. CSD segment first element is unique claim reference. Okay, this is the unique claim. This is the unique claim reference, the first one. Because the second one is transaction reference. This is the transaction reference. Okay, when you are going to the transaction process indicator, it is the composite element. These composite elements having the four sub-elements like transaction type, transaction qualifier, and transaction subtype, and transaction validation response. Okay, the four subtypes will be get differentiated with column like here 001 column and 001 means the transaction type is 001 and the transaction type qualifier is 001. And based on the means on the segment notations and everything, okay, that you can identify, recognize that data element within the UNB structure. And every element will have the unique identifier. For example, if you want to see the claim header details, we are having the segment CSD. If you are having the claim detail, if you want to find the claim details, we will have the CLM. Okay, if you write like because at those times in 1980s means when you are not having the more security to the FTP, okay, they want decided to encrypt the data means no one can understood so ever not having any knowledge on the EDI, they cannot easily read the messages. To make it secure way, not to read easily, they have give some segment notations for everything. Okay, this means you are worried about where can I find means all the informations of the segment notations and everything, right? So that you can find in the specs. Okay, any
Could you please
questions running on
explain?
this?
I have a question. Hello, sorry for joining late. We have some connection issues in the office. You mentioned the semicolon. Can you explain again when it will be used?
Yeah. So, Guru, can you scroll up?
Yeah.
Okay. So,
Then
yeah, this one. Now, can you open the sample message?
okay. Okay, Linga. Yeah. Here it is like we are having the composite elements. That composite elements can be identified by the C. Means in the specs, we are having the multiple element details. Okay. And some segments will have the composite elements and normal data elements also. For example, this is a unique claim reference is a data element. Transaction is a data element. Transaction processor indicator is a data element, but is a composite data element. Okay. Usually that composite, yes, just a minute.
Yeah, that's clear to me. So for
I'm
example,
on the
if you
risk.
had
Actually,
three values there, if you had transaction type qualifier, and transaction subtype, how
Yeah.
would it be then shown?
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
You see
good.
here in
Open
the
that
example
example.
file, please hold on. Krish. Okay. In the example file, if you consider the CSD segment, we are having the two composite elements, right?
Mhm.
The first composite element is transaction type. The second composite element is transaction type confer. And these two are not received in the input because these two are the conditional and these two are mandatory. These two are conditional. Means someone may put the transaction subtype, someone may put the transaction validation response. Okay,
Mhm.
whenever the lost elements is not getting, it will simply put like one semicolon. That's what it was described in the specs. What is the I will show you once again. Okay, here it is. In the spec, it was defined. Suppose we are having the three composite elements. In the
Mhm.
suppose we are having the three composite elements and one data element. Okay, we will get the values like this:
I see.
CDE column, CDE column, CDE. Okay, if the
Okay.
second component is missing, then we will give the empty space like this: CDE
Okay.
columns, empty space, and CD. If the lost component is missing, okay, it will give a like a CDE dot column CDE. Means we will treat this the lost details are not received.
Okay. Thank you.
CHD.
And for example, if you
Yeah,
have
example, we are having these
I
four details. Okay, I am giving an example.
think that's clear. You
Suppose
don't need to pay. That's clear to me. I understood. Thank
that's
you.
okay. Fine then.
Another
Now
question:
again,
if you have the same segment several times, so for example, if you have a mount segment or CUX segment or currency segment several times, you will just have a different row each time.
yeah, that is also there in the spec. If we go to the spec, there is a segment diagram. Okay. In the segment diagram, you can find it out the how many times it can be repeated. For example, there's a ENH, it can repeat for the one time. CSD can repeat can for the one time. Group one, under the group one, we are having the NAD, CTA, and RFF. Okay. Group one is a conditional element where it is showing the C. Are you able to see my screen?
Yes. Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. The group one is a conditional and it can be repeat for the 9 times. means he can there is a no group 1 repetitions also. Then if he can repeat for the 9 times also. It is conditional and 9 times. So whenever the group 1 will comes, the NAD is mandatory. And contact details CTA is conditional. RFF is a reference detail is conditional. Means you can find all the information about the repeats and what are the mandatory segments in the specs itself. Okay, in the even though in the in the specs, not only on this diagram, there is in several sections where it will give the how many repeats also and which segments is getting supported by the ILU and which segments is getting support for the Lloyds. That information is also enclosed in the specs. The basic thing means if you want to develop any system to submit the link cream messages and receive the link cream message, that is all defined in the EDI specs. The only one thing, is there any EDI specialist within your organization? They have to go through this spec and they have to implement it at your systems.
Question,
Okay.
is there one spec for all, or we need to go to different specs to see the EDI specs for Lirma, the EDI specs for Lloyd, the EDI specs for ILU?
There actually recently there is a no much difference between the ILU, Lirma and Lloyd's. Okay, there's a little differences between means the sign-in number format will be the for the Lloyd's is DDMMYY like that form a numeric format, whereas the Lirma it will have the alphanumeric format. And so there is some little bit changes. Okay, for some segments, we will not receive the details for the ILU. For example, the TRA segment. This segment is not used by the ILU. Okay, that information also gave in the specs because it is differentiated for all the broker messages. But if you see the CLM LLB is there, CLM LRB is there, CLM LRC is there. They have created the 3 specs, but you cannot find the major difference, only little differences. Okay, that is also described in the specs.
So there are different specs per bureau currently, but they are very similar. This is what you're saying.
Yeah, means there are all the specs means for every bureau. Separate specs is released. Overall EDI structure means if we talk about the message structure, then it will be the same, but the difference is that in some bureau, one particular segment is not used and that particular segment is used in another bureau. That kind of information you need means you will get from the specs only.
Okay.
Means which segment will use in Lloyds and which segment is not used in the ILU. That kind of detail you can find out from the respective specs.
Thank you. And regarding, for example, special characters that cannot be used in EDI, where can we find this information?
If you talk about the special characters, whether that character you're referring for within the data or where you're referring that particular character means special character within, for example, in FTX segment, free text area segment,
For example,
something like
yeah.
that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So whatever currently, whatever special characters you are using within the data of the XML messages, same will be follow for the EDI as well.
I know that there are issues with that, Paul. I think you are here, right? So you know that better than me.
Yeah. So
Usually the thing like Bhupesh, I think so those special characters means will not be sent apart from the FTX, right?
Yeah,
And
apart
when
from
you're
FTX.
submitting the link claim messages, the FTX segments usually the broker will not submit.
yeah, so I know, for example, like a single exclamation mark in the EDI is used as a end of line character. So if we had a single exclamation mark in an FTX field, doesn't that then
okay,
block
right.
the message?
I will tell you about that one also. Okay, whenever they are sending the single exclamation mark within the FTX, for example, in the FTX segment, you want to give the Paul Evans like this. Okay, Paul Evans. Okay,
Yeah.
then after pretext and this segment terminator, we are using the semicolon.
Yeah.
Sorry, single exclamation code.
Yeah.
If you are giving this one, means our day. Sorry. Okay, now it is correct. Okay, now our EDI compiler what will treat? Okay, whenever you get the exclamatory mark, okay, it will treat as a segment terminator.
Yeah.
Means it will treat as a this line is completed. Okay, if we found that segment terminator within the segment, within the value, so that EDI compiler breaks here.
Yeah.
Okay, and that can create the mismatch between the UNT counts, means all the structure will fail. So when you are giving the this quote mark, you can give the question mark. Okay, when you are giving the question mark, it will be to the EDI compiler. You are telling that, okay, don't consider this single quote as a syntax object. Treat this is as a
Character means the part of the field.
treat this is as a character, not a
Yeah.
syntax object. Then the compiler will get understand and it will be get passed.
And would that
Okay, is this
apply also
explained?
to like a plus sign? If we had a plus sign, if we put a question mark in front of it, it
Yeah,
would just
plus sign also. If we
Right.
are having the plus sign like this, okay, plus sign and free text. If you give the question mark before that character, then that will be considered as a text character, not as syntax.
Okay, thank
Is
you.
this explained somewhere? Like, are there specs for that?
It should explain somewhere. Means this is a common release character. This is a common basic principle of the ED fact. Okay, means in the ED fact, you can find it a release character in ED fact. You can find the
Okay,
CD.
thank you. I
This
have
might-
another
So
question.
just
Yeah, here if you see, this is a release character.
Mhm.
When you are in the directly in the UN organization in the standard thing, it's a give a notation to the all the special characters. Okay, why the column is get used, why the plus sign is get used, why the question mark is okay. Release character is like it will treat as a character, text character, not as a syntax object when you are giving a release character before any word or any special thing.
Thank you.
and if you
Thank
want to
you.
send a question mark as a text, would you put another question mark before that?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
What happens
Alright.
what happens if there was a question? So you'd have to. So if there's a question mark before a separator, this might be a stupid thing, but then isn't that could cause an issue, right? So if you were doing
Here
a question mark,
means you are not using the question as a separator, right? It is telling to treat that special character as a character, not as a syntax, because in the EDI thing, we are using the mainly, there's a quote, what I had it, the plus sign for the data element separator. The column is a data component data separator, and the quote for the segment terminator. Mostly, we will use the release character in these cases. Whenever you are getting the plus, when you are wasting the column, or whenever you are getting the quote in between the free text, then we will have the column question mark.
Yeah, but so if there's a question mark in the actual text, we should be providing 2 question marks in a row.
No need, but if you can means extra thing means you can give it out. Yeah, I think so. It would not needed to give up an extra question mark.
Okay, maybe I'm just not understanding, but that's because obviously if you put 1 question mark and it just happens
Just
to
a
be
minute,
before a
that is a new
separator.
case I never seen. But if you give the 2 question marks also, okay, then that will be get accepted, because if you are having the 2 question mark as a, you are treating as a syntax object. If you are giving the question mark over here, that would be the best thing. That would be the best thing, because if before signet terminator, if you are given the question mark, that may create the confusion this to this code, right? So you can give the double question mark like this.
Okay.
Question is very valid thing, Rani.
I have another question. So in the specifications, do we have explanations also about the responses that we are receiving back?
Yeah, we do have the specification. I think so. We have the game response details also.
So for the limclam, and so
yeah,
it will be also separated based on the bureau?
Yeah.
And what about the limrex?
Here it is like, I think so. Here is message completion instruction for the limclim response. Bhupesh, I can see the limclim D, right? We will have the limres details and error code details.
Error code detail is separately mentioned. If you see, yeah, this one below.
This one is the limres, right?
Yeah.
It will give the all the limres details, means how it will be gets processed and everything.
Okay.
Okay. Apart from that, then in the slide also have a mention means how the responses can be happen. Okay, usually you are submitting this EDI standard message into the XML standard. Only you are getting converting this thing means we having the some deep description about the all the element details. For example, in the here it is like the ENB, we are ENB thing, we will get the first like syntax ID is a first data element. Okay, when coming to the XML, you have gave them clear understanding what is the first element, like syntax ID. Within the syntax ID, how many component elements we are having, syntax ID rules and syntax version. Okay, when you come to the notation, EDI notation, okay, ENOA column 1. Are you able to understanding? Means everything in the XML, it was briefly explained about the segment notations and everything, whereas it is completely in the encrypted format, the EDI is. The one more thing, like in the future, this XML format is not going to be support. Only you have to submit the messages through EDI only. Once a BP2 will get live in July.
Another question I have?
Yes.
What about documents, like send documents together with the lim claims, to send documents separately with without lim claim. How will it work? Will it stay the same? How we will combine? Like if we want to send a lim claim together with documents, what is the order of receival? Because you need the UCR before it works.
Order will be the same across all the lim claims. But if you want to point out what is the major difference between all the thing that we have gave for the reference. For example, the TRI segment is not receives even though that is conditional. Sometimes it will be get passed for the Lloyd's, not for the Lirma and ILU.
I'm not
So
talking
that
about
that
this.
kind that kind.
I'm talking about DRI documents that we are sending in addition to a message. So if you want to transfer documents to ECF,
That
like,
approach will be the same, Igna. Means you're talking about the document. Means once you create the lim claim and you are uploading the some documents on IMR or ECF for those particular claim, right? Yeah,
yeah.
that approach will be the same. Means there is no impact on that approach, but needs to check whether that IMR. I think IMR is the part of Blueprint 2, right, Guru?
IMR currently the means refreshment and done. The ILMR remains same. Okay. They can access all the documents through IMR as it is.
Yeah, so that means that process will be the same which you are currently using.
Okay. Is there any interaction between the Rani? Maybe you're familiar with that more than me. How we are sending today documents with the lim claim, because we have one process, at least from UI perspective, to do them both. What is the interaction between the DRI and the lim claim?
That
And there is a two separate things. DRI upload is a separate thing. The lim claim is a separate thing. Lim claim we will usually put the all the claim added details and to submit the claim. What are the related to that claim? The document details can be retrieved through DRI.
Thank you.
So we understand that the DRI sending documents to the DRI doesn't change. And I guess if we have a reference to the documents within the lim claim, then I suppose there is an element for that, no?
yeah, that approach will be the same. Means I'm not sure about the DRI whether that is the part of Blueprint 2 or not. But if not, there must be a different system. If DRI is the part of the Blueprint 2, that definitely that approach will be the same. Means whatever flow you are using to submit the documents for that particular claim, then that approach will be the same after Blueprint 2. But if, for example, if DRI is not part of the Blueprint 2, then definitely there will be another system instead of DRI. Then in that case, you need to use that different system to upload the documents. But approach will be the same. Whatever approach you are currently means using for the lim claim and document processing.
So my understanding, Rani, is it's the opposite way round. The lim claim doesn't reference the documents. The documents references the UCR and the TR, which is, or the UCR that's used in the lim claim. So the lim claim existed way before DRI. DRI came along afterwards. So there were no data elements added. It was just using a common reference.
Absolutely.
Because it's different in ANS.
It uses the UMR for ANS.
Right.
But,
yeah, great.
Yeah, and you've also
Thank you.
got a work order ANS
Yeah.
message as well.
That doesn't
XML.
exist in yeah. Right.
Yeah.
And unless you're communicating a big change that hasn't been communicated, yes, DRI will be exactly the same for phase 1, so we don't need to worry about that.
Whenever that means lemres message we are sending means that is successfully accepted by the underwriter, you can find in the GS section A0132. Okay, this is success. When you are getting any failures in the limres, okay, that sample will be look like this. Okay, it will give the error code details and the what is the error description. That error code details will be get available in the again in the specifications documents. Okay, if you see the Velonetic websites, there you can see the error code limclim E section. There will be there. There you can find all the error code details of the limclim submissions. Okay, for example, here it is a E03. The claim is already on the file. Okay, that will be get notified here. Okay, here it is you are received like F30, right? It's a warning. When you are getting the error like we will get GAS E32, then we can find it out that the error is related to the claim that is already in the claim submission like E03. Means all the error code details will be get available in the specs also. And the warning details also. For example, in the real scenario, I will check it out. We have received F30, right? Go to this document, error code detail document and give F30. You'll get the duplicate currency for the risk amount.
I think this is not there in the XML, right? We are not getting like a F30. We are getting
we
only
do.
the. We do.
We should do.
Mm.
Yeah, we should do. Whenever there's an error, we'll get a code.
Okay.
And actually, that looks like our recent test case.
Yeah,
You're
yeah.
talking about some insureds. This example is our recent testing where we had duplicate currency
Yeah.
for some
Yeah,
insured.
today morning you received this
Yeah.
response.
Yeah.
Because we have
And Paul, it
the
was
recent
it was
examples
because
that will be better to explain the situations.
so just saying, Paul, it was because the original currency is the same, and this cannot happen if the
Right.
original currency is.
Yeah.
There. But yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Any more questions now?
Randy, is it clearer now that?
Yeah, I'm good. I understand the principles. Yeah. I mean, we'll have to go into the details, of course, of the spec, but the principle is understandable.
Maybe just a general question regarding sending several, let's call it limb claims at once. Like, is there some kind of a higher level that several limb claims can be sent inside one, or
Yeah.
something? If
So
you can explain about this. Mm-hmm.
yeah. So for example, whenever any limb claim in EDI, that is starting with UNB segment, right? And the message with that particular limb claim is starting with UNB segment. Sorry, UNH segment, right? So Guru, can you open that example? Anyone? Yeah, that's also fine. Okay, so here the interchange is starting from UNB, right? And message is starting from UNH. So for example, you are planning to send two limclim message within one interchange. Then in that case, yeah, Guru, copy this one.
I will
Yeah,
give
just
you some
paste on
details.
notepad and
What you
someone else.
You want to send the two messages.
Yeah.
Suppose if you can treat as a UNB as an envelope. Okay. In the one envelope, yeah, I'm writing letters to two people like Paul and Rani. Okay. The first letter is, if you treat as this letter is to the Paul, then this message is the first message, UNH001. Okay. And the second message I want to give to Rani. Okay. Then I will put another message like 002.
And same in UNZ.
Yeah. In the GNZ, I'm telling the two letters. Okay. Within one envelope, we are sending the two messages with the different details. Then when the UNH01 will contain the one information, and the UNH2 will contain the different information.
And I've got some XML examples of this, Inga, where I'd created exactly this for the XML. So I can show you some other examples as well, some real examples that, and the EDI works the same because it's still using the same
Right.
segments.
Yeah, and I think we mentioned the sequence number. So this is something we are not in XMLs, but it should be used in EDI, right?
Do you mean sequence numbers or do you mean interchange numbers?
Sequence numbers.
In UNB,
Sorry?
I think it's the same, Inga, because it's going to basically, whichever format you use, the data's still the same, whether you send it via EDI or XML. So because I think you're referring to a particular field which is in the sequence number. I think there's a field called claim sequence number in the CHD
Probably.
segment. Yeah. That's only used by Lerma, and I've sent manually Lerma tests with that field empty, and it's worked okay. So I don't think we need
so
it.
XML. In XML, we are sending messages without it.
Yes,
In XML.
and it should be.
My question is,
EDI should be the same.
yeah. So Guru, can you open that example, Lirma one? I think that one is Lirma only. The example, actual limclim example in your.
This one?
No. This is the limclim one.
Okay.
Yeah, this one. So, yeah, limclim XML. Check the limclim XML and the sequence field is there.
It's on
In
the
CHD.
The CHD segment process indicator is there, transaction type is there, 001, and
is there a
transaction type
claim
qualifier.
claim
It is
sequence
there.
number? Yeah, that's fine. It's called a claim sequence number. It's the last field in the CHD segment. Yeah, it's not there, is it? We don't send it. So I don't know if you know, Inga, but what happens today is when we send our XML, Velenetic convert it to EDI, and then what gets loaded into class is the EDI.
Yes.
So it's just a straight translation. They don't add or remove anything.
okay, so I just wanted to check about this because I have some kind of memory that we discussed that it is relevant only for EDI and not for XML. The sequence number, maybe it's not, maybe I'm mistaken, or maybe it's not the claim sequence number. But if you do not recall anything around that, so okay.
Where it is means what sequence number you are referring for, Paul? Because in the CSD segment,
yeah,
we are having component like this one. Means first unique claim reference, transaction reference, and transaction process indicator, type of claim, partial collection indicator, UMR, attachment indicator, number of outstanding responses, lost previous advice, contractual agreement, cedent in liquidation, associated claim reference, associated transaction reference, and confidential indicator.
So are you looking at the Lerma spec? Oh, you're looking at IOU. Can you open up the Lerma spec?
Okay. Lerma.
Then if you go to the bottom, the very last field,
Okay,
there we go.
the claim sequence number.
Yeah. So
There
it
is also
only
sequence of transfers in UNH. What is that?
UNH is message sequence number. Apart from the message sequence number, in Lerma, we'll have the claim sequence number.
Yeah, it's
In the
conditional.
CHD,
If you are
in
not
the
using this
CHD
one,
segment.
if you are not using this currently, and means if you are not going to use this going forward as well, then you don't need to supply this field. And if you required, you can supply. It's means acceptable in EDI as well. It means
Yeah.
depend upon
Because
you.
it is showing the conditional, not a mandatory.
yeah.
And also so what is the sequence of transfers in the UNH
It's a
segment?
message number. In
Yes,
UNH,
you should
right?
in the UNH you should be have the sequence like same order. Okay, the first letters, the first UNH should have the UNH 001, and second UNH you should have the 002. If you want to give another UNH within the same interchange, you should give the UNH 003.
I see.
It's
Yeah.
it's
Okay.
limrest guru. Can you open the actual lim claim? There is the sequence message sequence number is different.
Okay, let me open.
So it's only in case you have like several lim claims in one file that you are sending, you will be using that, and this will be different.
Yeah, it means
Upesh, I think so. It is only having the one
yeah, it's yeah, in this
interchange.
mess is only one means, but if you can submit multiple, then you can use it's just like a message sequence.
I see. Thank you.
Hi there. I know we have 3 minutes, 4 minutes. I have to pop up an unorthodox question, perhaps. Hope it's for you. You know, it's quite a task to change handling EDI instead of XML. I wondered, is there a chance, or is there someone to talk to about using your code as a starting point, not without commitments or anything? Is there a chance of doing that?
Your code means whatever program we are using to convert XML to EDI. You're talking about that?
Yes, and vice versa, and also, you know, passing the incoming message, incoming from our direction, that is. Because I guess you have lots of experience with it and you tested it a lot, and it's a good starting point for us if that can happen.
I cannot confirm on that thing. I need to check with the BP2 delivery team and I have to Marek.
Yes, Guru.
Marek, as nobody is asking to provide the bespoke map transformation, which will convert the EDA to XML and XML to EDA for the limb claim. Then the current considerations, we have communicated to the market that XML will be no longer supported to submit the limb claim.
It's only supported on the send, not sorry, on the receive, not the send. That's it. So it's part of an unmatched pair.
No, I think Marek, what Rani is asking for is, would it be possible to have a copy of the code that does the mapping between XML to EDI and EDI to XML, a copy of that code, because essentially we just want to recreate that code. And therefore, if you've already got the code that does the mapping, can you share it with us rather than us having to write it from scratch?
I absolutely understand that, and it was, would you believe, my very first ask of the program, which was for all customized EDIs, whether they be accord for all or just a non-accord for all, then would they share the code, because it's code that would no longer be needed. And the answer came back, unfortunately, as they wouldn't share that code.
Would you be able to ask Chris again on our behalf? Obviously, things have moved on and things have changed.
Yeah, no.
Could you just re-ask the question, not on a general point, but just on this one particular Limclum to EDI particular, just to be shared with us on the basis of there's no support or anything else. It was, if it's useful, we can use it. If not. No,
I do get that on an as-is basis. So yes, I'll put the question to him, absolutely, and I'll copy in Alvaro and the thread that was previously referring to this.
Yeah, perfect. That'd be appreciated.
I don't know if you know, is this a DXC or a Velenetic kind of, IP piece? Is it?
It's, as far as I know, it's an exchanging IP issue.
Okay.
So it would come under Velenetic, because exchanging and Velenetic are one and the same, being insure services.
Yeah, so it's XAS basically. Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay. Cheers.
Okay.
So
thank you.
This session has been really, really useful. I think it's provided a lot more information. So thanks, Marek, for setting it up, and Bhupesh and Guru, thanks for your preparation and your time, etc. That was very much appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, I'll say the same. Guru, Bhupesh, thank you ever so much. You've done put a lot of hard work into this and preparation, and not least your experience on this, which is highly valuable. Thank you very much indeed. Thank you.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Thanks, everyone. And I will provide the transcript and link to the recording as soon as I can.
Brilliant. Thanks, Marek.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Yes, great.
Bye.
Bye, Marek.